Desk heading home. The Artemis II crew has sights set on Earth following their historic trip around the moon.
The gravitational pull of the Earth has had a profound effect on the near side of the moon.
A super El Nino is expected later this year, and it could be one of the strongest in more than 100 years.
It tends to shift the subtropical jet stream further south.
Dangerous rip currents keep lifeguards busy along the Florida coast.
Right over here, in 30 seconds, you're going all the way to the other side, so it's kind of dangerous.
Separating fact from fiction when it comes to lightning danger.
The myth that metal attracts lightning. Metal does not attract lightning.
And a celebration of our national bird, the comeback of the bald eagle.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The Artemis II crew is now heading back to Earth after successfully flying around the far side of the moon.
Houston, we have you the same, and it is so great to hear from Earth again. We will explore, we will build ships, we will visit again. Ultimately, we will always choose Earth. We will always choose each other.
And that was astronaut Christina Koch moments after the spacecraft reestablished communications with Earth. They were in a 40-minute blackout during the flyby. The entire team took detailed observations of the lunar surface. Their next stop is Earth, scheduled for Friday evening off the coast of San Diego. Reed Binion has more.
Your mission paves the way for America's return to the lunar surface very soon.
President Donald Trump speaking with the Artemis II crew on Monday. The president congratulating them and the entire team at NASA for an incredible historic mission.
You deserve that. You really are something. Everybody's talking about this. This is big. This is really big stuff.
The president also making clear this is just the beginning.
We'll plant our flag once again, and we'll establish a permanent presence on the moon, and we'll push on to Mars.
Day 6 of the Artemis II mission was record-breaking. The 4 astronauts traveled farther from Earth than anyone ever has. Their maximum distance of roughly 252,000 miles broke the 1970 record set by Apollo 13. The spacecraft also had one of the longest communications blackouts in human spaceflight history as it passed behind the moon.
Houston copies. We'll see you on the other side.
During that expected 40-minute comms blackout, the crew saw Earthrise, experienced a total solar eclipse, and got an unprecedented view of the moon's mysterious far side, observing features that have never been seen directly by human eyes.
The gravitational pull of the Earth has had a profound effect on the near side of the moon. It's very different on the far side. While you see some small patches of those Mare in deep craters, it's very much absent on that side.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
And big changes are coming to the world's climate patterns, and those changes will have a big impact on the world's weather. Not only are we expecting a super El Nino later this year, but European climatologists now say it could be one of the strongest in over a century. The impacts include extreme heat and drought that could last well into 2027. Maine meteorologist Hannah Sheehy explains what's going on and what it could mean for your local forecast.
La Nina is beginning to weaken, and forecasters at NOAA are eyeing the potential development of a super El Nino this summer. This week's Climate Chronicles question comes from Cameron. What exactly is a super El Nino, and how could it impact weather here in New England? El Nino is one phase of a larger climate pattern called the El Nino Southern Oscillation, which involves changes in Pacific Ocean temperatures that can affect weather across the United States. As El Nino develops, it tends to shift the subtropical jet stream further south, while also increasing upper-level winds over the Atlantic. This will suppress hurricane activity. Typically, El Nino shifts the storm track south, bringing wetter than average conditions to the southern United States, while areas farther north often trend drier. These impacts are stronger in the winter. In the summer, they're weaker and less reliable, but can still subtly affect temperature, rainfall, and tropical activity. If we look back on one of the strongest super El Ninos in 1997, that summer in Portland was drier than average, gathering less than an inch of rain during the month of June. High temperatures across the summer of 1997 were right on average for all 3 months. That could suggest a fairly typical summer in terms of warmth this year. While history is a helpful guide, no 2 El Nino events are the same. If this one follows a similar pattern, New England could see a near average temperatures with drier conditions this summer.
Well, rip currents keep lifeguards busy in southeast Florida this weekend, and more dangerous currents are expected this week. Dozens of people were rescued from the rough waters along some popular South Florida beaches after a father Mrs. Sad died while saving his 2 children. Larry Seward reports.
They're using binoculars. Fort Lauderdale Ocean Rescue lifeguards tracking swimmers in dangerous currents around them.
It's pushing you like towards to the middle of the ocean.
Zila Rodati felt it.
You started over here and like in 30 seconds you're going all the way to the other side, so it's kind of dangerous.
Red rip current warning flags rose over the weekend.
On Saturday, we saw about 14 rescues.
Lifeguards saved more than 70 people in the ocean. In each case, authorities say a swimmer was in a dangerous spot where seaweed settling on the bottom makes the water dark. Lifeguards say these are deep channels near the beach, allowing water to flow back out to sea in powerful currents. In Pompano Beach Sunday, a swimmer in his 50s drowned. Further north in Juneau Beach, a father drowned trying to save children struggling in the water. In Fort Lauderdale, yellow flags on lifeguard towers caught Carrie Becaris' attention. She brought her children here for spring break fun away from Michigan.
A lot of conversations with lifeguards, and they kind of explained where it was safe to go in and where it wasn't safe to go in.
It's a conversation Lieutenant Mitchell McCready encourages more people to have before getting in the water.
Can't stress it enough that don't swim in an unguarded area. The ocean is not a playground for everybody, especially if you're not wise to the currents or if you're not acclimated to beach life.
He says lifeguards know the safest places to swim, but even in those spots,
Seems a little bit rough.
some parents and swimmers are wary of the current.
So what should you do if you find yourself caught in a rip current? Let's turn to meteorologist Veronica Johnson to find out.
One of the scariest things that can happen to you or your family when you're at the beach this summer is potentially getting caught in a rip current. So what exactly is a rip current and how can you and your family stay safe? Well, a rip current is just that. It's a current or channel of water that moves from the beach out to sea, and it often carries swimmers with it. So what's the best way to stay safe? Well, remember, rip currents will carry you out, but they won't carry you under. So the first thing that you can do is to remain calm and not to panic. Don't fight the rip current. Try to swim parallel to the shore until you're out of the rip current, or at a diagonal to the shore until you're out of the rip current. The average width of a rip current is about 80 feet. That's about 10 surfboards. So eventually you'll get out of it. And if you can't escape, again, remember to stay calm, to float or tread water. You're not going to go under, and eventually you'll get out of that rip current. And of course, call for help when you can. You're going to be losing energy if you try to swim back to shore without swimming diagonally. And this summer, when you're at the beach, remember, don't swim unless there's a lifeguard on duty.
And now to western New York State, where last week severe weather triggered a dangerous landslide. The shifting ground is threatening several homes in the Rochester suburb. Natalie Calzatoni has more.
Days after a landslide formed in the backyards of 2 homes on Carl Sam Drive in Irondequoit, neighbors are still searching for answers.
Right now, we're just kind of trying to put the pressure on still, see who we can get to help.
David Stafford's next-door neighbors were forced to evacuate their home Thursday as the landslide caused by Tuesday's severe weather crept closer to their foundation. While Stafford says he and his wife are still in their home as of Monday, their land appears to be slowly sinking into the ravine.
Not getting much sleep. You know, we're doing what we can to keep it positive. You guys know my wife's pregnant. We just got back from a prenatal appointment. We're really excited. Everybody's healthy. We want to keep it that way. After the baby's born, we want to keep them happy and safe in the backyard because we didn't want to move. But, you know, here we are and we might not have a choice.
From landslides in New York to worries about train tracks in southwest Michigan, rainfall and flooding washed away ground at a stretch of tracks in the city of Coloma. Crews worked around the clock and completed repairs on Monday. Now to that railway is open for business again. The Oregon Zoo is welcoming 2 new penguin chicks. They were born about a month ago in Portland. They are the 194th and 195th Humboldt chicks to hatch at the zoo since it began breeding the threatened species back in the 80s. The penguins are expected to spend around 3 months in their nests before venturing out in front of zoo guests. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, fire season preparations are underway in Colorado. We'll look at what officials are working with to prevent wildfires from getting out of hand, and we'll help separate fact from fiction when it comes to the dangers of lightning.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We're tracking a very weak system moving through the Northeast today with around rain and snow through parts of New England and New York this morning. That's about 7 a.m. Southern New England, New Jersey, parts of New York will see a lot of sunshine this afternoon. Those temps will leave a lot to be desired, but it's snowing in northern New England. We should see a lot of sunshine return for our Wednesday. In fact, unlimited sun is expected midweek. As far as accumulations go for today's snow event, it looks to be mostly in northern New England and New York.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Looking like we're going to see more sunshine on your way for Tuesday and likely Wednesday. Likely going to see some breezy conditions to go along with it as cooler temperatures will be around, but very dry weather the next several days all the way through the weekend. It's going to be 40s and 50s for highs going into your Tuesday afternoon. Not much different after a chilly start on Wednesday morning, likely below freezing, 40s and 50s for highs.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Mild conditions across the southeast with temperatures running in the 70s from the Carolinas into the northern Gulf Coast and across central and south Florida. A stalled frontal boundary over central Florida leaves additional moisture in place, leading to rounds of showers and thunderstorms as we head through Tuesday and Wednesday with pockets of heavy rainfall along Florida's east coast in the middle of the week. Dry conditions for the rest of the southeast with mostly sunny sky across the Carolinas and across northern Georgia and Alabama.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Inspired by the Artemis II crew and their record-breaking travel distance and journey around the moon, this photographer took this lunar snapshot over San Antonio. High in the sky, but closer to terra firma, a faint sundog over Asheville. And here's a brilliant look at Sunday's sunset over Portland, Maine.
Listen to Off the Radar. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Fire season preparations are underway in Colorado. The season is expected to be a challenge, so fire experts are getting ready. Brian Mass tells us what they are working with to prevent wildfires from getting out of hand.
For decades, the 2002 Hayman Fire was the largest in state history. 138,000 acres burned southwest of Denver, 133 homes gone. Fire experts say 2026 has a lot of the same conditions as 2002.
Obviously, we've had a warmer winter than we've had in a really long time. That's going to lead to more fuel drying and availability of fuels later on in the summer. So
Jeff Rasmussen is the state's chief of fire planning and says the subpar snowpack, warm winter, and drought conditions line up with what led to statewide fires of 2002. But 24 years later, the state now has 2 of these Pilatus aircraft to help manage fires after they've started and detect fires before they become infernos.
people rely on this information to make decisions more so than ever before, and this is one of the best tools we have to provide that real-time information to the people on the ground.
The planes will fly every day during peak fire season, with 2 operators in the back mapping fires and relaying information to ground crews. One of the critical tools on this plane is this infrared camera that I'm talking to right now, which can help firefighters on the plane spot a fire right as it's starting.
This area of heat on the south side where
State fire personnel say the camera can pick up heat signals from 15,000 feet up.
and these fingers off to the east side that have stayed pretty much on the mesa top.
Detecting small fires that cannot be seen by the naked eye, but can be picked up by the camera, getting crews to douse fires before they really get going.
It's really shown over time the power of intelligence and information.
Fire detection is the key.
Peter Vidmar, the intelligence unit chief with the State Division of Fire, says this summer's fire season could be longer than normal due to the short snowpack.
We try to lean into the science as much as we can.
Well, lightning can strike without warning, even when a storm doesn't seem close. Meteorologist Emily Gracie spoke with a lightning safety expert about the real risks and the common myths that can put you in danger.
In terms of the hazards, lightning is probably the one that most people see every year, at least once, and oftentimes many, many times throughout the year. So it is a hazard that most people in the United States have to be aware of and have to be concerned about. In terms of the number of people that are killed by lightning, fortunately, we've seen the number of deaths go down. At one time, it was considered the second leading cause of death. It's down the list quite a bit since we started the lightning campaign about 25 years ago.
So do you think it is a matter of awareness?
I think awareness plays a large part in it. First of all, making the public aware, but also making people that run organizations aware of the dangers of the lightning, and then making sure the policies of those organizations reflect the dangers that lightning poses.
What are some common myths that you hear when it comes to lightning safety, or some rumors you'd like to dispel when it comes to lightning?
Well, probably the most common myth is the myth that metal attracts lightning. Metal does not attract lightning. It will heat up. It will leave burn marks if you've got metal in your pockets or you're wearing any jewelry. It will heat up and cause a burn mark. And oftentimes that people interpret that as it's attracted lightning, but it really doesn't. Lightning tends to strike the tallest object in the immediate area. Oftentimes that's a tree, but if you're out in the open, that could be you as well. Now, one of the things that people are concerned about, well, I say, don't stand under a tree, don't be out in the open. Well, you shouldn't be any of those places because you really need to be inside. But if lightning strikes a tree, it's important to remember that lightning, that charge is going to spread out along the ground, something we call ground current. And that ground current is just as dangerous as a direct lightning strike. In fact, we think more people are killed by ground current than direct lightning strikes.
And you can hear the full conversation with John on our podcast. We also explore new lightning research, including where the world's longest lightning strikes have been recorded, to search Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
A symbol of strength. The bald eagle first appeared on the national seal in 1782, but did you know the predatory bird was almost lost to history? Soaring high above the United States, a majestic feathered bird of prey native to North America. The bald eagle was adopted as the national symbol soon after America's founding because of its independence and strength, qualities that closely reflected the spirit of the young nation. Chosen for its presence, the bald eagle appears on the Great Seal of the United States, clenched in its beak a scroll and holding an olive branch and arrows in its talons, denoting the power of peace and war. Today, the seal is impressed upon treaties, government buildings, military uniforms, and found on documents such as U.S. passports and on the $1 and $5 bills. And you can find bald eagles nesting across the country. But at one point, the embodiment of the Republic was nearly wiped from the skies of the lower 48 states. In the early 1900s, there weren't any protections for bald eagles who were seen as threats to livestock and fisheries. They were shot, trapped, and poisoned. And by the 1940s, the population nosedived. Entire generations failed to hatch when bald eagle eggs became threatened by a pesticide widely used after World War II. The country's defining symbol was on the brink of extinction. But the bald eagle made a comeback. In 1967, the bird was listed as an endangered species. In 1972, the dangerous DDT pesticide was banned in the U.S. And in 1973, when the Endangered Species Act was officially signed into law, the bald eagle got more protections it desperately needed to recover and thrive. Today, there are more than 71,000 nesting pairs of bald eagles in the country, a massive recovery from just 417 in 1963. For Amazing America, I'm Taylor Murray with the National News Desk.
And speaking of eagles, it's feeding time for a pair of eaglets. The bald eagle chicks were born on Easter morning in Big Bear, California. Their parents are Jackie and Shadow. We're not quite sure which one is feeding them right here, but the food is likely small pieces of fish or maybe even some prey. This is the fourth set of eaglets for the duo since 2019. They had 4 eggs this season, but 2 were destroyed when ravens raided that nest. And as we go to break, a look at the turquoise water. Look at this from the ocean, Indian Ocean. Who said that?
Well, a very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Got a few showers across the central part of the Midwest for the day today, but most of us staying dry and kind of chilly, especially across central and northern portions of the Midwest today. Tomorrow, got a few more rain showers starting to slide their way down. It's with a cold front, so it's going to get colder behind that. Bismarck only getting to 41 for the high tomorrow, and those light showers slowly drifting south Thursday.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at your forecast across the region. We're starting off on the cool side, 40s and 50s this morning. We will watch a few showers push across central Texas through the day today. A little bit cooler where we see the clouds and the rain. 65 Midland, 68 Amarillo. Otherwise, 70s across the region this afternoon. Then as we head into your Wednesday, pretty quiet outside of an isolated shower. Temperatures will be back in the 70s.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. There's a system impacting British Columbia. That's going to crank up those winds in parts of western Montana. Meanwhile, shower and thunderstorm chances will be possible in parts of New Mexico. Daytime highs a touch cooler in the upper 60s through Albuquerque. We've got 70s on tap for Denver, in the 90s from Las Vegas to Phoenix, and comfortably in the low 70s from LA to San Diego, middle 60s in Portland.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, the start of the golf season in Maine is a little different than other places. Meteorologist Ryan Munn shows us what it takes to prepare the course in northern New England.
The time has come for Nonesuch River Golf Club to open up its fairways and greens. Owners say getting to this point coming off winter takes a lot of hard work.
It all really starts in the fall. Our superintendent, Mike Ridley, and his crew make sure to spray, snow mold, various fungicides before the snow falls to make sure we don't have any winter kill or anything like that. We aerate in the fall as well to make sure the course comes through the winter in good shape and drains properly.
Now that the snow is melted, it's important to keep the course dry after rainstorms.
We installed drainage when the course was built in '97. And every year since then, we've picked the wettest area on the golf course, and the maintenance crew will go out and add additional drainage to help direct water away from those areas.
Their goal is to continue to improve the course to make it more and more playable. They're thrilled to be back out on the course.
It's been a long, cold winter, so it's nice to have people out here, be able to get out on the course, and it's a nice shift when we get going for the year.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.